Ladies and gentlemen, today I bring you the Little Jaws SMG. As always, what you guys asked for, I deliver. We're gonna explain how this gun works, the most optimal setup for it, and you can get this gun from the blueprint shop, from the Wish machine. Just press G on it, submachine gun, and there's the Little Jaws. Now, if you are gonna run this gun as your first build or second build, I don't really recommend it. I recommend getting at least 6-star armor before you even touch this gun, because this is a elemental build and it relies heavily on your calibrated armor and your stars of your gear. These stars, however, for the weapon do not matter because it's not a physical damage build. It is a elemental build. So let's go and explain how this gun works. If you right click on it, go to details, click X on that keyword. This gun utilizes unstable bomber. It will trigger one explosion which deals 120% of your psi intensity damage. The blast radius being 1.5 meters. And a delay of 0.1 seconds. When you shoot an enemy, you will trigger a bomb every single time, the cooldown being 0.9 seconds. You will deal 40% damage less against real players. You will also get 0.2 seconds unstable bomber delay. This basically means that it will take instead 0.3 seconds to trigger the bomb once you trigger it, rather than 0.1 seconds if you used another unstable bomber gun like this Jaws pistol. The reason why this gun has the delay is because when you hit enemies affected by the unstable bomber, so as soon as you hit, and then any bullets after during that delay, you will deal 20% extra damage for one bullet hit. So let's say I shoot the first bullet and then I hit 3 bullets, you will get a 60% damage increase. If I shoot and then deal 5 bullets or something, that's gonna be 100% damage increase for these 5 bullets you hit. The first shot though doesn't really increase the damage. Now the unstable bomber final damage 20%, it is a separate multiplier. There is unstable bomber damage bonus, unstable bomber, and unstable bomber final damage. So that's 3 separate multipliers right there. Then for every 0.1 seconds of unstable bomber delay, you get a 15% damage increase. The more delay you have, the more damage you're gonna do. For this gun, you will want to run the explosive front top. Is going to give you a delay of 0.3 seconds and unstable bomber damage 30%. That 0.3 seconds delay is going to give us 45% unstable bomber damage, which gets converted, and then of course the 30% as well. In total giving us 75% over here from just the explosive front top. We're going to quickly jump into the cradle you'll need to use for this setup. So you'll need anti-phase for this, tactical combo, status enhancement, deviant energy defense, elemental sense, mark strike, explosive bonus, and tactical leap. Now of course you don't need this and this, but there's really nothing else you could put. You could probably put bounty hunter because you get more weapon damage, but when you swap your weapons you get weapon damage increase, so that's why we're using that. This is mainly for damage, and if you want to change things up, for example, you don't want this weapon damage bonus for some damage reduce when you are airborne, then you can change that. Now in the description, we're going to be leaving the spreadsheets link. So if you want to access this, it will be there. And of course, if you want to guys support my work, you can always subscribe, like, and of course, an extra. If you subscribe on my Patreon, there is 50+ builds for PvP and PvE, which get updated every single day as soon as a new patch comes out. So these are in my Patreon. But of course, I released them on YouTube as well. In the clips that you've seen, we have been using the low HP build, which was the lunar build. If you guys are interested in using the full HP build, it will be here. So starting off with the mods, you will want to use Bombardier Souvenir for the gun. It's up to you if you want to use Bombardier Souvenir or if you want to use Supercharged. Supercharged will give you basically more damage for the 3 to 4 seconds window, but as soon as you start reloading, Souvenir is going to catch up in the damage and it's going to do more damage basically. And you even reload bullets as you trigger explosions. Really, for everything, I just prefer to use Souvenir, so below here I also explain this, where they can be used and why. For the helmet, we're going to be using Deviation Expert. There's nothing else that comes close with the Deviation Expert, as this will give you fire rate and status damage on the helm. And Little Jaws, the more fire rate you have, the more bullets you can fire, which means the more damage you'll do, because during that delay, the more bullets you fire and hit, obviously the more damage you're gonna deal. So fire rate is very important for this gun. Using anything else than Deviation Expert will result in less damage. So there's literally no other option. Next up we have Delayed Blast. And what Delayed Blast does is before the bomb explodes, every 5 hits you shoot on the target, the bomb's ultimate damage will be increased by 25% damage. You can hit about 13 shots before the bomb explodes with little jaws. It depends really on your ping, but you can't really hit 15 shots with jaws with this SMG unless you're lagging or something and the servers can't catch up. If you hit 5 shots, like when you trigger the bomb, basically triggering the bomb, boom, and then when you do these shots, if you hit 15 shots, well, that's going to be an extra 75% damage increase. But really, if you have a stable connection, most likely you're always going to be doing 50% extra damage. So this is the best mod for little jaws. Recently, the pinpoint strike got buffed, which instead of 25%, it got to 35% damage. But regardless, though, it's 35% damage, while delay blast is up to 50% or 75% if you get to hit these shots. So this is the best mod for little jaws. We have elemental overload on the gloves. This is for the full HP build and the low HP build. Basically, our status damage is in the very highs, to the point that we need to terribly balance out elemental damage with status damage. As you can see, it's very obvious that 18% elemental is going to do way more damage than the 20% status, which here we have more status and here we have more elemental. For the top piece, for the full HP build, you can use any mod you want. It doesn't really matter. For the shoes, we want covered advance. And if you don't know how covered advance works, is you have to not take damage for 4 seconds, which will give you 20% status damage for 30 seconds. After you get that buff, it will never disappear. And then once it expires, you just can't take damage for 4 seconds again, and you will get the buff again. This is literally the best mod for the shoes, so there's nothing else you can put. For the bottom pieces now, we have Reload Rampage. Since it is a full HP build, and since you're using shelter pieces over here, 4 of them, you'll have definitely more elemental than you would with this build, low HP build. As you can see, 136. It's better to really use Reload Rampage here, because when you kill a mob, you will get a strict 10% status damage increase once you kill a mob. You will also refill some bullets too. However, the problem is when you reload the gun, this will disappear. So if you don't like that, you can also put a quick comeback on the top piece to avoid that. And when you pop an activator, that buff will stay for the Reload Rampage. Now, I don't really advise using Elemental Resonance for the full HP build, because you'll be getting only from 6% up to 8% elemental damage increase, which means it's a 4% loss, and status damage we're getting 10% when we kill with the Reload Rampage. So you're getting basically more, and we kind of need more status damage for the full HP build. So that's why we're sticking with Reload Rampage. Now for the armor pieces, we're of course going to be running 4 Shelterer, 1 Explosive Front Top, and Renegade Shoes. You can replace this to whatever you want. Now you can replace the Renegade Shoes to Lone Wolf. And if you do use Lone Wolf here, then you could possibly replace Reload Rampage with Elemental Resonance, because you will basically refill 8 bullets per magazine. If you take a look, we have Bombardier Souvenir on our mod, and when I shoot, it refills 7 bullets. The reason it refills 7 bullets is because we have 70 bullets in the mag. So if you had 80 bullets, you will refill 8 bullets every 1 explosion you trigger, since this mod refills 10% of your magazine clip size. If you put Lone Wolf piece, your gun will turn into 80 bullets if you have 12% magazine capacity on any of your mod slot and 9.6 magazine capacity on any of your mod slot. In total, that will be 21.6 on your mods, and with the calibration together, 81.6, which will get you 80 bullets. And that way you will refill 8 bullets every time you shoot. In that case, you can replace Reload Rampage with Elemental Resonance if you get more than 10 triggers in the bag. If you don't, still keep Reload Rampage. For the gun calibration, you will want magazine capacity and of course double elemental damage. How without that? Because this gun is fully elemental, so you cannot have anything else. Magazine and elemental damage. So this is also displayed here for those who miss out. Everyone just keeps asking in the comments, what calibration, what calibration? It's literally here. For the food buffs, you will want Whimsical Drink and Stardust Energy Drink. Now, of course, do not use Stardust Energy Drink if you are not doing a silo, because in monoliths, these don't work. Same with the Tactical Leap Cradle perk. This does not work in monoliths, only in silos. And how it works is you stay in midair and the stacks accumulate right here. And if you keep jumping and staying airborne, the stacks will not disappear. You can easily use a double jump like so. Double jump, and you will get these stacks pretty easily. Then for the food buffs, you will want hot dog and sausage for the second buff. Now, if you're not a chef class, then you want to go in this order: whimsical drink and hot dog. Then for the mask hide, you will want a lucky rabbit. And the reason why we want a lucky rabbit is because when you trigger a elemental instance, you get 10% elemental damage for 3 seconds. This is basically permanent. As soon as I trigger it, as you can see, I get a buff instantly, which is here. Now for the suffixes that you want for the full HP build is unstable bomber suffix on the gun, unstable bomber suffix on the mask, and you want 4 talent suffixes. Every single suffix is displayed over here. Now if you don't use downstar, you will be able to get 90 bullets in your mag, which you get 9 bullets when you shoot, which means what? You're gonna do more damage basically. Now moving to the lunar build, here we are using unstable bomber suffix on the gun, on the mask, and we're using lunar on the helmet and lunar on the top piece. We're using only 2 talents instead of 1. We need that extra magazine capacity for 7 bullets refill when we shoot. If you don't use the 2 talents and use only 1 talent and 2 downstar, then you won't be able to get this magazine capacity, which means you won't get 70 bullets in total. So you cannot really get 80 bullets with this build because lunar, unstable bomber suffixes, and downstar cannot have magazine capacity. So the only option is to get these 2. So with the elemental resonance, as you can see, I have 70 bullets in the mag. And if I shoot the target, if you count explosions that we trigger, we have triggered 8 explosions. We can technically minus that 1 explosion that we triggered on the last bullets, but that's 8 explosions. And if I shoot again, once you reload your gun, that's gonna be 7 explosions again. So 7 explosions is 7% elemental damage. It gives us 1% elemental for 1 stack. So we got 7 stacks. However many stacks you trigger, so that's 1%, 2, 3, 4. And once you reload, you're basically gonna get 4%, you know? There it is. So that's how this elemental resonance mod works. Now here we have the reload rampage. So you get 10% status when you kill an enemy. And once you reload your gun, you lose it. You have to kill an enemy again. But here with resonance, you will keep that 7% increase for the whole mag for 15 seconds. So by the time you empty your mag out, you could be triggering 8% resonance or maybe 7%. Sometimes if you're lucky, you can even trigger 9%. But really, if it's 8%, you're basically already doing more damage with the resonance elemental than reload rampage. And every time you reload, its stacks are going to be basically appearing over again. So the damage, as you can see, is almost not different at all. And it's going to be more convenient to use resonance because every time you reload, the stacks keep appearing, while with reload rampage, you lose the stacks and you'd have to kill another mob to gain the damage. So just stick with resonance for more convenience. For the shoes, we're using Rush Hour because Rush Hour for low HP builds will give you the most damage. Every 10% HP you lose, you will get 4% status damage increase, in total of 36% if you're very low HP. So this is the best mod for low HP build, better than Covered Advance, and there's nothing better to put unless you want to lose damage and replace it with Ruthless Reaper, which after you get 2 kills, you refill your mags, but yes, I would not do that. For the armor pieces, we will be running 2 shelter pieces and 3 treacherous, and then explosive front top. Calibration is the same, food buffs are the same, everything is the same as this build here, just the armor is different. Now we're gonna jump into the PvE min-max sheet, tab right here below, or you can just click here, click for details. And here, every single substat is displayed, what you need for each of your mod. So obviously, if you are gonna go for mag cap over here, let's say you're going for 12 magazine capacity, then you will have to get a less status damage, which will be only 2.4% here. Same goes for the Rush Hour. If you go for 2.4 mag cap, then you will have to sacrifice 1.2 status damage just to get these stats, because we can have only 3 golds and 1 green. All the multipliers are displayed over here. So for example, unstable bomber damage bonus, these 2 bonuses are obtained from the Cradle. We're getting extra 6% from the mask and gun mod. Unstable bomber damage is obtained from the explosive front top here. 45% is 0.3 delay. Then we are also getting some extra delay from the gun's passive and the unstable bomber default keyword passive. So everything is displayed. If you hover your mouse on it, you can just check the stats yourself if you're lost or don't know. And then the unstable bomber final damage is 200%, which is 10 bullets, let's say. If you hit 10 bullets, that's 200% damage increase on. So yeah, Vulnerability is when you mark with the bingo and have the vulnerability amplifier. Now, for this build, you will have to use a secondary as bingo, because basically what you do is swap to bingo, make sure you have the vulnerability amplifier. It doesn't matter what you use. Using the bullseye duration substat on this mod is extremely useful. That's what I recommend doing so just get a bullseye suffix. Bullseye suffixes can be obtained from public events, or just kill Manibus over and over with reality frags in Endless Dream server, and then get your bullseye suffix, which will be this crate right here. Open the bullseye suffix, and there you go, we just got it. And if you don't get it, then you can just go to mod conversion, roll yourself a new one, make sure to select the bullseye suffix, and try to get the bullseye duration. This will increase your mark by, basically by default the mark stays for 12 seconds, but if you have the 50%, it's gonna stay for extra 1.8 seconds. So all you do is whip your bingo out, mark the target, and then start shooting. So yeah, that's what vulnerability 16% is. Now for the substats for the gun, you will want to get elemental damage, damage against grey ones, status damage, and magazine capacity preferred. If you're trying to min-max, then obviously magazine capacity will help you a lot for this build. And then for the Bombardier Souvenir Unstable Bomber suffix, you will want to get gold Unstable Bomber damage, blast damage, grey ones, and you can also get Unstable Bomber range. It's possible to get 3 substats from the Unstable Bomber suffix, but it's extremely rare, so it's going to take you quite a while to roll for these. Now for the deviation you will want to use is going to be Shattered Maiden. If you don't have a Shattered Maiden, you can use Mini Feaster, but remember, it's going to give you less damage. For the traits, you want to get a Psychic Kid. Of course, that's going to help for the damage so much, but this is very rare trait, so good luck getting that. For the skill rating, you'll definitely want 5.5. If you have activity rating higher, it's just going to recharge faster, so that also matters. This deviation is going to freeze mobs that are not gray ones, and if it's a gray one, it's going to slow them. And the explosion damage received is going to be 80% if it's level 5. And the reason why this Maiden is better than the Mini Feaster, because the explosion damage is a separate multiplier rather than the Mini Feaster giving you status damage, which stacks literally into your status damage here. So just by that 80% will give you so much more damage. That's why the Maiden is the best. Now you can get the Maiden by just simply looting these securement boxes in every single POI. You can loot them once per day. Make sure you just TP there, loot them, and you might get a 5.5 Shattered Maiden. Now for the attachments for the gun, you will want muzzle, forward flash hider, compact reflex sight, tactical combined grip, and weighted SMG mag. If you combine these attachments, your gun is gonna kick literally like this. Well, it's not gonna kick at all. We basically have no recoil. All you need to do is just drag down to the left, and yeah, the gun will not kick at all. For the best ammo for this gun, it will be tungsten SMG AP ammo, the cheapest. The best ammo for monoliths, not silos, is going to be gold ore blasting ammo. Also, dreamers are included, gold ore, since suppression ammo does not work for light dreamers. The best ammo for silos will be suppression for zombies and deviants, and for penetration ammo will be also silos and vultures and humanoids and Rosetta. Now for the extra damage that you can do is you can get yourself 1 rusted blade, which you can get rusted blade from just killing hard mode bosses. Let's say, for example, at the Treant, you need to go to hard mode, because hard mode gives you blue weapons, which it will drop you tier 5 rusted blade. If you do normal mode, it will give you less than tier 5, which is not going to be great. So you can do any boss you want as long as it's hard mode. If you do pro mode, you can get Kukri from pro mode, which will be this, and it will be tier 5 all the time. Now, ice cubes count as an enemy, so when you throw them, it's basically an enemy, and when you right click with a Kukri, it just gives you damage increase of attack multiplier 30%, which counts as a different multiplier. It's not attack multiplier that is a physical damage. It's just a different multiplier that the devs worded wrong. This attack multiplier increases your elemental damage, basically. So the damage you do with little jaws will be higher. And also it gives you 20% psi intensity. The rusted blade does the same. It increases your attack multipliers by 30%. So in total with this rusted blade and the kukri, you'll be getting 60% total, which is a huge damage boost. If you don't know where to get these ice cubes, they are obtained from the Deviation, which is in the Way of Winter North map right here, the silo. You will get the ice pot, which makes these ice cubes when you put them into the cage over here. I do not have them because I transferred to a new scenario, but they will basically just spawn you ice cubes, which you take them out, throw it, break the ice cube, throw another ice cube, quickly swap to the kukri, break it again, and then when you shoot with the jaws, your damage is going to be increased way more. Now, of course, you can inflict your damage with the Gulplar as well. When you kill a cube or any enemy, it will give you 20% damage increase per 1 stack. So what you can do is throw an ice cube, shoot it with the Gulplar, and as you can see, we get 1 stack over here, which is 20% damage increase. So you can do that with the ice cubes or with enemies. Doesn't have to be ice cubes, really. We do all of that. Swap our preset. Then you have to break the ice cubes as well. Swap to the kukri. Mark the dummy. Get your deviation out. And you can now start doing your damage, basically. As you can see, we're doing so much damage. But look what happens after the Gulplar disappears. All that damage is gone. Like, okay, we're doing 500k, 700k. And now we're suddenly doing 200k. I don't really recommend using the Gulplar. The clips that you've seen at the start was with 5 Gulplar stacks, really. So the time it takes to set up this is extremely long. I don't recommend using the Gulplar at all. Just stick in a bingo on the second slot, and all you do is just break ice cubes, you know, with the rusted blade, with the kukri. Once you do, mark the boss, and then start DPSing. Of course, have your maiden out, and you'll do a lot of damage. You don't really need the Gulplar at all. Ladies and gentlemen, that's it for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed this little Jaws guide. If you guys have any questions, make sure to leave a comment down below. Of course, like the video if you did enjoy, and join my Discord if you want to be in the best once human community ever. As always, I'll see you guys in the next one. Take care, and peace out.